Hello and welcome to today's episode. We are glad you have joined us. In this episode, we'll be discussing about why you should start creating even when no one is watching. If you're a dreamer or a creator like myself, or you're looking to start a business, you want to become an entrepreneur, you want to become a content creator, whatever aspect, you're dreaming towards, this video is about challenging you to start doing that thing even while no one is watching. I know it might get tempting for you to, feel discouraged, even want to give up on doing whatever it is that you want to do because, you have this belief that you need so many people to be watching for you to start. Now, I would like to tell you that that's not going to happen. You're not going to, at first instance, you start doing something. You won't have a lot of people watching you. You won't have a lot of people liking what you're doing, but you just have to start because the truth is whatever you're doing right now is positioning you for your future. It's helping you build, the skills, build the capacity, the excellence that you need to operate on when you get to a much different level. So you have to start now because now is the time for you to weed away the nonsense, start building the skills that you need. Just weed off all those things that would be a defect for you when the global audience comes. You understand? So that's what we'll really be breaking down in this video. And if you're someone who probably you've been thinking of starting YouTube, this kind of interaction just like the one you're watching right now, I would like to share my own story. For years I have always wanted to start a YouTube channel, but I never did. Many years. But finally I decided this year to start because I also probably had that thought of I want to wait for when the perfect time, but then there's actually no perfect time. If you don't start today, you never get there. When you think of the best creators, the best speakers and everything, they started some many years ago, and they didn't start with a perfect video. They didn't start with an excellent audience or whatsoever. They started with just a step, and they kept on building. And that's why I decided to start. I didn't start because of the monetary value or whatever value that we'll get from it. That would be nice eventually, but that's not the purpose, because I believe you need to have more than monetary, motivation for you to start something. Because if money is the only reason why you're motivated, when you get the money eventually, you're probably going to stop. And then that channel or the chain of, creating and all those things will stop because you've gotten what you want. But when you have a higher calling, like you're trying to provide a solution to people. Like for me, this platform is really just about, helping someone who is trying to discover themselves, someone who needs some self-motivation improvement to get to the next level. Because I was that person, many years ago, and I didn't have that, mentorship or guidance. And that's why I created this platform, for us to be able to, speak to those people who are feeling lost, speak to those who are trying to find direction in life, So, I believe with this, trying to offer the solution, I think by God's grace, I'll be able to do this for many years without getting tired, as God supplies the grace, because there is a higher calling for it, right? Yeah. What do you think? Yeah.
As you were talking, the scripture that came to mind.
Okay.
Right.
Not Isaiah.
No, it's not Isaiah. The thing is, I don't even know where it is in the Bible. I just know it's a scripture in the Bible.
Okay.
Where it says, "Fan to flames the gifts."
Yeah. Okay. That's in Timothy.
Yeah,
it was
so
Paul
Timothy
talking to Timothy.
Okay. Yeah. So that's the scripture that comes to mind. And if you look at when you're trying to make fire, you just put the firewood and then you have to keep fanning, it comes little by little, and then after a period of time it's a lot of fire. Right? And that's the way I see it, right? Just taking the steps to start creating when nobody is watching. Is that it's a little fire, and then as you keep going, you're literally fanning to flames, you're fanning the fire so it comes more. So over the years, because you are consistently fanning that gift. You are building that gift. Even when nobody is watching you, eventually it becomes a big fire that draws people.
Oh yeah.
Right? Because if you see a place burning, right, immediately your eye is on that, like what is going on there. If it's not the fire that is attractive, it's the flame, right? So, yes, something that is emitting from that, is going to draw you. And that's just the way I see it, right? That's what comes to mind, is that as you take those steps to start creating, when nobody is watching, it's just you in your room, your little equipment, your little pen, your little book, taking notes and doing what you can do over time, right?
Yeah.
It just attracts the people.
That's so true. That's so true. I mean, and I must say, it's a painful and gruesome, activity or state of flow, because at that point, you just feel like you're alone. You probably need some motivation and all of those things. One thing you must understand, that this is a long journey. Now, before you even get started, you have to mentally prepare yourself and understand that, hey, it's a marathon I'm running. It's not a sprint. You understand? You have to prepare yourself mentally to understand that it's going to take a lot of, time, patience, and all of those things. For example, let me use this analogy. If you're someone who's trying to journey from one point of the world to the other, let's say, for example, you're trying to go from Canada to Nigeria, or from Nigeria to the United States, you have to understand, already that that's going to be a long flight. You're probably going to be jet lagged and all of those things. So it's going to be like 14 plus hours, flying from one part, sitting down in one place for a long time. Like, there's no movement. At best, you can just go to the lavatory and come back. Yeah. That's all. You can't even, you can't stretch your legs. Except maybe you're flying like a private jet or whatever, So now, knowing that it's going to be like a long flight, and you've mentally prepared yourself before going on that flight, you already know, okay, I have to sit down, and you commit to it. You're not going to tell the pilot at some point, hey, I'm tired, let me just get down this plane. No, you would do that, right? So that's the same thing. You don't tell life, hey, I'm tired and I want to stop. And I think that's what most of us do. Yeah. I've been there myself, starting something, and then at some point I'm telling life, hey, I'm tired, this is, it's painful. Wow. But, through self-development, personal transformation and all of that, I've gotten to the point where I realize, hey, listen, this is not something that you just pick up and you drop. So you pick it up and know that you're going to probably do it for life. You're probably going to do it for a long time and commit to it. You have to set realistic expectation and goals for yourself. Now, for me, starting this, I decided, okay, since I've not been doing this for a long time, I thought, okay, what's a right structure to doing this? Why not start doing one video per week? Start building the consistency little by little. And by God's grace, we've been consistent now. Right. So that's the thing that I'm trying to get you to understand. You have to be methodical about even the approach or whatever you're trying to do. It's not enough to just have a dream. You must have a plan to walk your dream through. Right?
When you say you must have a plan to walk your dream through, that's very interesting. Uh-huh. Because if I wanted to make food now, I would say, okay, I want to go to the market, buy this, buy that, and then start the process of making food. So I don't know why, as human beings, something as simple as cooking, we are meticulous about it. We take time to plan. When it comes to things about destiny, about our lives, about our actual lives, right? We just freelance.
Microwave.
We just want to microwave the life. Do you understand? And I think that comes from, again, just our innate nature to just feel like we just want things to go easy.
That's right.
But the thing about starting when no one is watching and just keep going is that it helps you build a track record, right? That's ability to be faithful, consistent over the period of time. Like, I was listening to it was yesterday, somebody posted on her WhatsApp status. I don't even know the guy, but I think I've come across him on Instagram, right? Just by looking at his face. He was saying that he does his videos not because of the people watching, but because of the day it will come where he's tired. So he would have to ask himself, why are you doing this?
Yeah.
And it will be that why that will push him to put on the camera, sit down, record the video, and keep going.
That's
so that it's fun. I just saw that yesterday, and then we're recording this video today, right?
Yeah.
And normally when I see a status like that, I just maybe the first few seconds, and I turn it off because fast, you know.
Yeah.
But I actually watched this video from start to finish, right? Just to get the message of what he was saying, and it was something very interesting, right? That he's not doing it for what anybody would say, or that he's doing it for himself, because the day would come when he'll be tired, he'll be burnt out, but he needs to understand that he still needs to get it done.
That's so beautiful. I can totally relate to what that guy is doing, because your why will always get you up from the bed. Your why will always get you. Now, I mean, don't get us wrong. Like, there are days you also feel like, oh, okay, man, this is gruesome. This is challenging. But then, when you remember why you're doing it, I just strongly believe that that's what has been helping me. God's grace first of all, but then also remembering the why. Why am I doing this? It just helps me, like, okay, know that this is why I'm serving a cause. You understand? I'm not just doing it because I want to get popular, or I want to. I mean, there are other means of trying to get popular. I mean, these days there are easier ways of getting popular. There are easier ways of doing that. But that's not the essence of why I'm doing this, right? So, we want to talk about intrinsic motivation. So you have to understand why. The intrinsic aspect of you creating for yourself, what it does for you personally. Now, just putting yourself out there, recording a video and putting yourself out there, it does something for you, not just physically, but it does something for you spiritually, and I mean every area of growth, because now it positions you in a place where you have to take yourself more seriously. You take yourself more seriously, because now a lot of people are very scared of putting themselves online, because now you're putting yourself out there, you're open to criticism, you're open to whatsoever thing that is out there, right?
I used to be on this.
Whatsoever thing it is, right? Now, however, you're now creating, you're now out there. It does something for you now. It makes you want to be much more better than yesterday. Like we said in the last video, yesterday's excellence will always be today's mediocrity. Mediocrity, you understand? And as someone says, no one will clap for you twice for the same thing again. So once you do something today, you have to level up tomorrow. So I use the same approach for my. If you're someone who follows me on Instagram, if you don't already follow me on Instagram, or this is a shameless plug, my Instagram is in the link below, or it's in the comments section. Shaks, SHAKZ, right? I also create content there, but much more shorter content on Instagram, and I use the same analogy or the same approach for my videos, right? When I make them and I see it is good, I'm like impressed at that moment. But after that, like the literal moment I post that video, it's like, what's next? Like, I'm not living in like dream. I'm not living in like, oh wow, no. As I'm posting, I kid you not, that's the same thing that happened yesterday. I uploaded the video and I'm like, okay, what's next? How can we improve this? Because I know what I did yesterday. I wasn't even waiting for anybody to tell me, but myself. Now this is why I say it's important. You need to have an intrinsic motive, because it has to be something that is within. You understand? For myself, I knew that what I did was better than the last thing I did. So I was quite impressed, first of all, for myself, knowing that, okay, I've gone a level upwards. I wasn't waiting for anybody to come and tell me, oh, wow, your video was very awesome. If you're someone who's waiting for, external validation all the time, sorry to burst your bubble, you might not get that. At the beginning, you might not get that. People might see your stuff and be like, wow, this is really good. But there are so many silent watchers out there. People might be, admiring what you're doing and all of that. But, you have to get to the point where by you become your own cheerleader. You tell yourself, okay, you've done well. You know, there's still areas of improvement. Now, next video. And I did that I learned this from my mentor, right? Apostle Selman. You know, you pick up whatever you've done. You did well here, you know, but you need to improve here. That's literally what I did with that video yesterday. After even though I was the one who made it, the errors I didn't notice. Once I put them online, that's when I noticed it. So if you're trying to improve on something you have to put yourself out there first of all. Once you put yourself out there, then you can now take a third person view and be like, I need to improve here, I need to improve here. So now I've already jotted down where I need to improve, and by God's grace, in the next video, I will make those improvements. So that's just the whole idea of having that intrinsic motivation.
I think to talk about the intrinsic motivation, another way to look at it would be, now you've mentioned that it helps you to grow, right?
Sure.
Like when you see those mistakes, you can then make adjustments and comment videos, right?
Yeah.
But another thing to look at is that it helps you build your confidence. So are you the type of person who, at this point in your life, you're a bit more reserved, you're shy, and all of that? The thing is, and I'm talking from experience now, right? Some people see me sit in front of a camera now and they are wondering, right? I'll give you the first, this was in secondary school.
Sure.
I think my schoolmates, if they see this, they'll be able to relate. There was a time they asked us to do a drama. And they said everybody must be in that drama. Okay. So my first thing was, I don't want to be in it, but because they said everybody must be in it, I just had to be a part of it.
Sure.
So I picked the most, I don't know how to explain it, the role that was so insignificant. I just came on the stage, looked around, and that was it. Because they said everyone was to be a part. Because I didn't want to talk, I was scared of a crowd, right? But now, because of how much, where I was working before, I was working at an e-learning firm, and sometimes we had to record the videos, and I would sit in front of a camera, right, and I can talk to the camera, right? But it didn't just happen in one day. It's because I was over a period of time, because I had realized that, communication is something that I will do, right? I have things to share. God has spoken. You will speak to people and they will listen, right? Because there's a grace upon you, right? So I didn't sit back and just tell myself, okay, God has sent me. I had to then start making those steps, right? And that's why I read books. I think there was you that was teasing me about John C. Maxwell. That I've made we have a bond or something like that. But that's because that's me taking those steps, right? So it has helped me to build my confidence. You can, if we're shooting a video, the first couple of shots I may be jittery, but it's just helping me get into the confidence. Or once I get in there, we shoot it and that's it. That's right. So that's just, it will help you build your confidence. So what is it in yourself now that you want to build? That again can be a motivation, because you've realized that internally you need to work on this thing, right? So take those steps and then begin to build that area. And eventually you just see that as you keep doing that thing, as you keep creating, you are more confident, right? Yeah,
that's right. You know, I want to highlight the importance of, not seeking instant gratification. What you should replace instant gratification with is, long-term growth. You should substitute instant gratification for long-term growth. Why? Because now, when you take the approach of a long-term growth, you're not trying to microwave your becoming. You don't skip any progress. You don't skip any process, Now, let me use creating a video like this. Let me use this platform as an analogy to, buttress on this point we're trying to talk about. Now, what are the components? Let me use you to, help push it forward, So in creating a YouTube video, what do you think are the components that goes into making a video like this? Just mention maybe one or two.
I think the information you want to share.
Okay.
Your outfits. Okay. Is also important. Okay. Then your confidence in speaking. The camera,
Okay, great.
The camera, the message, the audience, the people you're
speaking to. All right, great. That's good. Now, see, she mentioned the information. She mentioned speaking. She mentioned appearance, and that's the platform. Now, let me use that as an analogy to break it down. Now, if I want to become excellent at doing YouTube, it means I have to improve my knowledge base. Now I have to go and source information. I have to read. I actually have to do the work. I mean, AI has helped us today to help gather information, but still you have to read. You can't just download and then read. People will be able to tell that this person is just literally copying and pasting. But if you're able, AI is not there for you to just copy and paste. It's there to enhance, collapse time for you and help you to improve on your productivity. Now, watch this. I have to, increase my knowledge base. I have to read books and buy knowledge. You understand? Buy the truth, right? Second thing is, I have to work on my communication skills. Am I passing information or am I just talking? Because it's the difference between passing information and just talking. Because if by the end of this video you're not able to understand what I just said, then that means I just came here and I made noise. But if I'm able to improve on my communication skills, now I have made an impact. You understand? The third thing you mentioned was appearance. I can't just wear a singlet. I can't just wear like underwear or just torn shirts and come and like if I just showed up to this video wearing like a torn shirt and was talking, you probably wouldn't take me serious. You'd be like, who is this? This is a clown. You understand? You think that this is a comedy show or something, right? But that's not the case. That's not the case here. So now, and the other thing, well, let's just use those three now. Now, you see, now having to, put those components together helps you to build on every aspect of your life. Now, you now take that long-term approach because now okay, you're not just trying to, maneuver around life, but you're methodically, and intentionally building yourself, building every area of your life. You're building your communication skills. You're building your, physical appearance, your knowledge base, and eventually relationship, because how do you relate with those people who you're talking to? That's another aspect of it, right? So that's what I just wanted to, buttress about the importance of taking the long-term view over the instant gratification.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So when you were talking, and I think I had to intentionally pay attention to people who do public speaking and all of that. If you look at preachers or people who stand to speak to people, most of the time they have one particular appearance. I'll give you an instance. Bishop David Oyede. When I was younger, I didn't really pay much attention to him. But if you look at him, he's always dressed a particular way.
White.
Right? Yes. With his red. That's it. And if you look at Miles Monroe, if you look at all of these people, right, there's a particular way they dress. Myron Golden, there's a particular way he dresses, right? Same, just pay, after you're done watching this video, just go back and look at all of these people. Same thing, even if you go on Instagram to content creators, right? The very particular ones who sit and speak or just share something.
Something's consistent.
Something is very, very consistent. It could be how they're seated, how they're dressed, or even how they're arranging the information that they're giving to you. It's very meticulous, well arranged, well structured. That's just it. And that didn't just happen in one day. It was a process of, does this work? Does this fit into my personality and the message that I want to give to the people, and how I want them to even receive the message and apply it? And that's just taking those steps to actually build yourself to that level.
And that's just the power of personal branding. What you just mentioned, it's personal branding. All these people that you admire and love today, they didn't start that way. They probably started, not so good, but with personal transformation and understanding how, your appearance matters and how you show up, how you deliver what you do. it's important to, as much as what you're doing, you understand, or what you're delivering, and it takes us to the next point, which is building in silence. Building in silence, is very important, because you don't have to always update people and tell people that I am growing. People will tell that you're growing. It's not something that you have to, put up on your social media, go and announce on the TV station, hey, I am growing. I mean, growth is evident. You cannot hide it.
Yeah.
When you were a kid, you were probably like, below 4 feet or how many feet, right? But then when you grew, nobody had to go and announce on the TV station that you're now an adult or something. People could see that you're now grown, right? So same thing, whatever platform you have, whatever business you have and everything, you might start small, and maybe the way people interact with you, they probably don't take you very serious and all of that. But the moment you grow, nobody's going to tell them how to speak to you. You don't have to educate them. They will know that, hey, this person is no longer on the level I used to see them before. They would naturally address you in a certain way because they've seen growth, and it's very admirable. So focus on building yourself in silence, and this, I'll use the analogy of, building in ones as to explain this building in silence, So when you're building in silence, right, people will naturally not see what you're doing, and you're just working behind the scenes, right? And for example, if I give you any amount of money, let's say £1 million or $1 million or whatsoever, now it's a cumulative of, a large sum, right? However, if I take one out of it, if I take like $1 or £1 or naira out of it, it ceases to become $1 million. It becomes less of $1 million, right? That's because $1 million is a cumulative sum of 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 up to 1 million times. So if you're building yourself in silence, your productivity or your transformation goes from one consistent action to another consistent action over time, stretched over time. That's why when you're hearing people out there who have achieved a lot, you hear them say, I started my journey 15 years ago, 20 years ago, and you're like, what? Yeah. So don't compare your day one with someone's day or year 10, year 20. You're just going to make yourself feel depressed. You make yourself feel useless, because you say, wow, look at where they are, look at where I am. No, just use them as a good motivation for yourself. Look at what the possibility of becoming is. You use them as a guideline to show. So that means if I am consistent, or if I'm consistently showing up, I definitely will become like this in like 5-10 years to come. Right? So it's just having that mindset and understanding that the real work happens in silence, behind the scenes.
That is very interesting.
Yeah.
Because, see, the thing is, I'll use my personal life as an example.
Sure.
Growing up, I used to read very slow. I can remember there's this book by Stephanie Meyer, The Host. It took me like 2 years to finish reading that book because I was that slow. Right, but like I said, when God tells you that He will communicate to people, you know that there is work that you have to do, right? So I had to start reading books, right? Reading my Bible, praying, reading books, right? Because I need to understand how to share information to people, right? And now it's a thing where I can read multiple books at the same time and finish it. And it's not like I'm confused about what I'm receiving from each book. I know what I'm receiving from the books, right? And that came from me I could have said, okay, because it's taking me 2 years to finish one book, I'm going to stop there. But no, I just kept going. Yeah. Kept going. And that's just it. Now I read much faster than I did in the past, right? And if I was comparing because in secondary school, there was a girl in my class who used to finish one book in a day. Wow. Right? But that's because she was reading a lot of books at that point in her life. But I wasn't. And if I was to compare my situation with hers, I would have just given up at the start of the journey, right? Yeah. So that's just it. You need to intentionally take those little steps, baby steps, add one, and then they become a million. Yeah.
You know, comparison is the killer of, you know, every great destiny out there. When you start comparing yourself to other people, you know, from a competitive point of view, you know, it's bad. But I mean, like I said, you can use someone as a reference. You can use someone as a gauge to know your progress and all of that, you know. Now, to round up our conversation, you know, we like to leave you with practical and actionable steps, you know, to proceed with this discussion, you know. So now, if you're a dreamer, if you're a creator, or whatever, you know, line of life you find yourself, the point of action for today is for you to begin with a small step. If you want to start making YouTube videos, get that camera. You don't have to even wait to have a camera yet. If you have a mobile phone, I think if you're already even watching this video, it's a proof that you definitely want to take an action step, you know. So what's holding you back, right? What's holding you back, really? I know some of us might have the excuse that I don't have a camera, I don't have lights, I don't have this. I mean, hey, even this video where we don't have all the equipment we need, we would love to have all the fancy equipment, you know, but we don't have. But that's not an excuse for us not to start, you know. Pick up your phone. If you have a mobile phone, pick up your phone, record that video and post it up. Even if you don't know how to edit, just post it up. The goal for now is to get yourself to emotion. Start doing it. And then eventually you start learning the skills, because when you start doing things, it puts you in a position where you want to learn more on how to become better. You know, when I started making videos, you know, it got me to, you know, start learning how to edit, how to make my audio better, how to improve everything, even communication and all those things. Now, I'm not there, but I'm still working on it, right? It's because I know the goal in front of me, so it means that I have to put in a lot of work, right? So you just need to take that action and start doing whatever it is that you want to do. You want to start that business today, go and start it. You know, even if you don't have an audience, start it. When you start doing what you need to do, then you know, all those resources will start pulling themselves towards you. But if you don't make that decision, it will never come, you know. And I heard something yesterday that was very, very powerful. You know, I heard the owner of Rain Oil, right? I don't know if you know Rain Oil. That's like a gas station here in Nigeria. He was saying something that when he started his company, right, he was the only one driver. He was the driver, he was the messenger and everything. And he would show up to his office at 8 a.m. every day, even though there was no work to do. But he showed up because he knew he needed to come and improve himself. Right? So many of us are waiting for when we have all this. You can't wait for that moment. You need to build that culture. You know, you need to build that culture. By default, you're even prone to laziness. So when you don't build that culture of getting in the motion of doing something, that laziness will always be there, and it will grab you. It will hold your legs very well, because it doesn't want you to leave. But when you get in that habit of, you know, day by day, keep up improving yourself, and you eventually start becoming, you know.
See,
taking a deep breath.
Taking like that.
It's a powerful one. Okay.
Right, but to just continue to add on another actionable step, right? You said it's a journey of becoming, right? So as you're taking those little steps, you're becoming. But as you're becoming, because you're becoming, there's progress along the way, right? There's some level of progress. Like you've taken one step. That one step alone is already progress. Wow. And I think the next thing I would say is you need to celebrate your progress. Nobody's going to celebrate your progress for you. You can't wait for people to acknowledge that you are progressing, like you mentioned, right? Yeah. If you're a child little children, little babies, their parents will usually be glad when they're taking their first steps. But as you keep getting older, you realize that your parents are just, okay, I expect that you should do that, right? And that they will celebrate you, but you yourself need to celebrate yourself, right? You need to acknowledge that, okay, I was at this level before and now I have gotten to this level. And what that does is it propels you to even get better, right? Because you're seeing that, okay, I was at this level, now I've gotten here. So means I can do much more than I currently am doing, right? And that's just it. Celebrate your progress. Pay attention, right? Be very intentional about what you've done and how you can get better. And over time, you see that there's more zeal, there's more passion to just keep going.
Yeah, that's so beautiful. I mean, if you're still watching at this point, congratulations, because now you have no reason or no excuse for you to start what you want to start. You must start now because you've already listened to all of this. So thank you very much for listening to today's episode, and we really want to encourage you to take those action steps and start building your destiny, start creating whatever it is that you want to do. Just start today and you start seeing the progress. If you're not already subscribed to this channel, I'd like to encourage you to subscribe, like and share to other people who you believe might benefit from what we share. So thank you very much, and we'll see you in the next episode. Bye.